Hey there, my name is Dov Kaiser and you're watching Pic It Perfect. This tutorial is going to be about curves, and more specifically we're going to be talking about color correcting within curves and about white balance within curves. So let's just get started. I'm going to go to my layers panel, click on the half black, half white circle, then I'm going to click on curves. And our curves adjustment layer is going to open up. Yes, I know no pixels were selected. Thank you for telling me. I'm going to let's just disconnect this over here. Now, I've already talked about curves in a few other tutorials, but to quickly go over it, we have this diagonal line that splits up our curved square into two parts. That diagonal line represents our image. The bottom left corner of the diagonal line is the black point of my image, and the top right corner of the diagonal line, that's the white point of my image. And if I take anywhere within this diagonal line and move it up, I'm brightening my image, and if I take anywhere within the diagonal line, I am darkening my image. And that's pretty much it. That's the basics of curves. In this case, I'm working in RGB, meaning I'm working with all the colors put together. See, digital image is built with three colors that together make all the colors, and those are called channels. We have the red channel, the green channel, and the blue channel. And if we put the same amount of red, the same amount of green, and the same amount of blue into an image, we're making white. So when we're editing in RGB, in all of them put together, we are pretty much working on the brightness and contrast. If I work with each one of these colors alone, this way I can actually edit the color and correct color. Let me show you how to do that. I'm gonna go to this drop-down menu right over here, and I'm gonna go to my red channel. Now, how does it work? Well, the same thing with the RGB. I can raise red from the middle by clicking and dragging up, and if you notice, I add red, and I could raise red from the whites, and I could raise red from the blacks. But now, what happens if I remove red? Well, if I remove red, I'll be adding the other two colors, green and blue, put together, and green and blue put together is called cyan. I can do the same thing from the blacks. I could add cyan from the blacks, meaning remove red from the blacks, or I could remove red from the whites and add cyan and cyan instead. I could do the same thing with the green, again, raising green, and the opposite of green is red and blue put together, being magenta. And blue, I could raise blue, and the opposite of blue is green and red put together, meaning yellow. And basically, how I edit color is I look at the color that I have and I say, okay, in this image, for instance, I have too much red and too much yellow. So the opposite of yellow is blue, as we just saw. So in this case, I'd have to add a little bit of blue to balance out the yellow. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add some blue. And then we also have red. So I'm going to go to the red channel and I'm going to lower my red. And there you go. If I turn on and off the curves, you'll notice that I really did do a lot to balance out the colors. Maybe I need to add a little bit of green in this case. There we go. That's starting to look much better. So that's the basics of doing white balance, but is there an easier way to do that? Well, I'm going to refresh my curves. Actually, there is an easier way to do that, and that is these color samplers right over here. Now, I've shown in an earlier lesson how to work with the color samplers, but I didn't really show the gray one. And the gray one is really neat. If I click on this gray thing, and I kind of take this eyedropper anywhere into my image, and I select an area that's supposed to be gray, like for instance, this railing, what Photoshop will do is it will turn that color into gray, into neutral gray. And if you see, I click and it kind of turned it. And what I do is I kind of play around until I get an area that I like, that I think looks right. And this actually kind of looks good. And I did that all with really one click. Just click on this and then click on the gray area. But we know that many images have color casts. And what I mean by a color cast is this sort of direction, the color direction that the image goes to. For instance, if we're working at a sunset, if we take a picture at the sunset, the image is going to kind of be filled with reds and with yellows and with oranges, and everything's going to kind of be colored by that. Now, in an overcast day, I'm going to want to correct my image for that. So I might want to add a little bit more blues and a little bit more cyans to the image. So I'm going to lower my red just a bit, and I'm going to add a little bit more blue, and maybe I'm going to add a little bit more green just to make the image a little bit more overcast. I like this just a bit more. And then we turn, this off color to an overcast looking day. I might have overdid it just a bit. There we go. All right, that looks good to me. And we did it fairly quickly and fairly easily working with curves. I want to thank you for watching this video. I'd like to ask you, if you did like this tutorial, like the tutorial and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.